Okay, folks, welcome back. In the last part of the chapter, we talked about having a special tool to work on these AR lowers. And there's a company called Real Avid that makes an AR-15 lower and upper, most of the parts on the AR-15, including the front sight on the standard AR, with this device. It's made for the standard AR. Some of your custom guns, like the ones I'm putting together, it doesn't work with those upper parts, but most of the lower parts, particularly, it does. In this particular one, there's a position here. As you notice, we've already put in the front takedown pin. There's a position here you can stick the gun, the lower end, right here and lock it in so you can work and do like we're going to put in the catch release lever and its roll pin, which you have to drive in. It's one of the few things that you have to get out of a tool and drive it in. But if you're putting your own lower together, that's what you got to do. So what we'll do is we'll attempt to lock this into place. Let's see if it'll lock in. It should. There's a way to do it here. Hold on. It should lock in. One would think. The way it's made. Get that out of the way. A little tight. There we go. There it goes. There it goes. Let's get this thing out of the way here. This is for working on another part of the thing, and right now it's in my way. Get that off. It's for working on your bolt. Yeah, it's a little release thing. See if we get this pin all the way in here and lock her in. Never used this part before, so it's not worn in like a lot of things should be. Take the back of my thing here, just tap it on in. Alright, come on now. That should just pop right in there. I think that's close enough, maybe. Yeah, that's tight enough. I'll work it later and try to get it worn through, but it's not worn in yet, like how a lot of things when you use them for the first time. They're really tight. So anyway, what I was saying is, it allows you to put this roll pin in, or this lever here, your bolt catch release. And there's a little spring, a little bumper pin, I call it a bumper pin, that pushes out against it and holds it out, and then when it locks in place and you pull the bolt back, it pushes it back out and releases, puts it in the release mode, which it stays in until you either activate it or the empty magazine activates it. And this hole, let's get a real flashlight on this. These lights are the way I made them and put them up. They should be behind me for photographing. But there it is right there. We'll zoom in on it. And there it is. That little hole right there. Right there. And then this pin, you have to put this little roll pin in there. Now this is tricky. Getting this roll pin seated in here, in this little hole, and seated. And for that, you need two special tools. which I've already taken out, and I will show you in a minute. Put this big old light back. Yeah, what did I do with it? I know I put them out here. At least I thought I did. Okay, tool search again. Okay, I thought I'd taken the tools out, but I didn't. Here they are. You need this, is called a roll pin driver. You see how the pin end of it's hollow? That's so the roll pin fit down in that hollow part, and as it's driven in, it squeezes the roll pin together because it's a split pin. Some people call it a split pin, a roll pin, but it's split. It's not a solid pin. That pin can compress, and what happens is this tool compresses it as you're driving it in. Tricky operation, to say the least, to get it started. And what I generally do to do this is I put some tape on the gun here to protect it, because you might get a hammer strike on it or two. Very tough to do this. This is not an easy procedure. It's not for the faint of heart. Put some tape on it like so, just to protect it a little bit. You don't get any hammer strikes, because even though it does have a pretty tough coating on it, hammer strikes will knock it off, and you'll end up with a bare piece of metal and it looks stupid. I mean, if you want the beat up look, hey, go for it. Put on my glasses, mainly so I can see and also for eye protection. Wipe them all, because I don't know how they end up with finger smudges on them, because I never touched the lenses, I don't think, but somehow or another, finger marks. So what we'll do is we'll put the pin in place, like so. Take your tool, seat it over it, straight as you can get it. Now this is the tricky part, trying to hold that while you start that pin. It's tough, boys and girls. Real tough. I might put some CLP on here. It does appear to have a tapered, one end on it appears to be tapered, but I don't know how much that really matters. It's not tapered enough. Not much. Put a little drop in that hole. Nothing on these things are lubricated, of course. What I sometimes do is to start these, I will use a little trick I use with a pair of needle nose. Hold it in place. A little pair of needle nose over the hole. If I can get it, hold it in there. I really need something with some teeth on it. Let's get those out. Where are those out? Those are too slick. Get something with some teeth on it. Put it over the hole. Take my hammer. And just barely get her started. Ah. Real tough to do this. You don't get her in that hole. Whoops, see? Almost lost it. Now the one thing I like about this tool is it's magnetic. So it tends to hold things and try to get away from you. Put that on there. CLP makes it real slick. Put that over there like that. Alright, let's stop for a second and let's get this pin started, and then we'll drive it the rest of the way. Okay, I had to use my old trick of trying to, let's see if we can turn this thing and put a little more light on it. There we go, that's a little better. You can actually see it. There it is, sticking up right there, the pin that we're going to drive in. Put our tool over it. I got it started, but I had to use a little trick that I've used before, just showed you a while ago. Once you get it started, you can hit it the rest of the way. Be careful that you don't drive it too far in there, past where the device needs to go in. Whoops. Didn't get it in there tight enough the first time. This is a hard pin to put in. Very tough. Man, look at that. Between the paper. We're getting in a little trouble here. Okay, let's move some things around. There we go. Let's try it again. Had it almost in there. Hold the pin over that hole like that. Take your little hammer. Get her started like that. And then get your other tool. You're supposed to drive it in the rest of the way. And you have to really smack it good. Get her started. Now, she's going down on there. See now why you have to tape this off, because this pin gets way up in there. And gets right up on it. And you end up having to do that. So what I'm going to do now is take this tool here, use it to drive it the rest of the way. Make sure we haven't driven it past. Check our clearances here. Nope, hadn't touched it yet. Let's keep going. goes. A little bit more. You drive it just to the point where you can put your lever in there with your spring. And still have enough clearance to reach. See there, I drove it a little too far there, and I think. I did. Let's see what we got here for clearance. See, yeah, I drove it in too far. So now what I'm going to do, I just reach up in there. I think I can just push the pin back out with these. I've done it before. Push it back out. There we go. Push it back up in there a little bit. Once you get the pin in there, you can manipulate it, but boy, let me tell you, before that, it is tough to get that sucker on there. Here we go. So then we have to put in this little bumper in its spring I told you before. It goes in this hole right here. And this little bumper plug right there pushes against the bolt catch release. And we're just putting in a standard stock bolt catch release in here. Oops, looks like I got to push it up a little bit more. A little bit more. Let's see. Just a little more. Let's get this piece out of here. Get that bumper out. I need that hole right there. I need that space. In my way. There we go. Put that in there like so. Spring. This should just slide right into place like so. And this is the trick I was talking about, being able to get that lined up with that hole. So that it stays there while you drive this down. That's a trick. And what I do is I just take my hammer, lightly tap it till I feel it catch. Like so. And take my tool and drive her on down the rest of the way. There she is. See, I caught her. So now we're just going to drive it on down the rest of the way. Just get it flush. Just get it past. It just goes in just enough to where it recesses on both sides. So now you have your magazine catch release installed. Whoop. Zoom back out here. Woohoo! There it is. Got your magazine catch release installed. We'll pull this pin now. Get our tool released. As I said, this thing's never been used before like this. This is my first time using this tool in this particular function. So everything's kind of tight still. Okay. No promotion, real avid. Good tools. Whatever they make, doesn't matter what it is. It's all good stuff. And it works. Let's put that over there like so. Get my battery out of my gun. The battery's charged up in my drill. Again, no promotion. Milwaukee tools, the only electric tools I own. Sorry about anybody else, but you want to go cheap, just remember, cheap is cheap results. Quality, you're going to pay for. Okay, I've had this tool now for over 30 years. The only thing wrong with it is I can't find the batteries for it anymore. From Milwaukee no longer makes the factory batteries, and the factory batteries are the only ones worth a shit. All the Chinese knockoffs and all those third-party batteries for it, they're junk. Every one of them I've bought has been a piece of junk. Somebody out there has got a third-party battery that you say works, tell me who you are. Because everybody else has been crap. And I do mean C-R-A-P, capitalized exclamation points. Yes, crap. Milwaukee's original battery is the only thing that works. This tool is awesome. It's a little handheld screwdriver. Breaks into 45, kind of 45 degree angle. Or not exactly 45, but it's close. It's very comfortable. Has a locking function, so you can't turn it on. Forward, high speed, low speed, forward and reverse with a clutch. So you can set this thing down to put in little tiny screws with it and just go tat 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 tat, and not strip them out or rip off the heads. Or you can torque things down like 1/4 bolts with this thing and put substantial torque on with this baby. And then for the bigger stuff, I have a Milwaukee a big driver drill with a clutch on it, also with a friction-based clutch chuck on it. Anyway, Milwaukee is the way to go. If you're watching out there, if anybody watches Precision Transmission guys up in Amarillo, Texas, they went all Milwaukee tools in their professional transmission shop. Everything. They very rarely use air impact anymore, and their Milwaukee tools just whip it good. They're badass. Like I said, the only thing wrong with this tool that I've had problems with is finding batteries. That's it. Otherwise, it's 35 years going like a bat. Milwaukee still makes these. They quit making them for a while, but they started making them. They got so popular, they started making them. They're with the newer batteries now. They're about the same price as what I paid for this one originally, which was the whole kit with 2 batteries, charger, in a box, in a little plastic case with extra bits and stuff like that. That's what I bought when I bought it 35 years ago. Now they have a new one. It is awesome, and I will be getting one. But anyway, enough of that. We're going to be putting that away because we're not going to be using that anymore, I don't think. If we do, we'll bring it out. Put it in its little home up here on the bench. Okay, we now have, let's take the tape off, with no marks on it. We now have the magazine, I should say the bolt catch release installed. Our magazine catch release is installed. Our bolt catch release is installed. Guess what else we need to put on? The end plate, the takedown pin, the buffer tube, buffer retainer pin, right here. All that stuff is right here. So now let's get started. But first, coffee break. I am a Mug Club member, Louder with Crowder. Kind of harder to see that. I'm not going to tilt the cup because I ain't got much coffee in it. But yeah, if you join the Mug Club with Louder with Crowder, you get a free mug. And a very quality, engraved, those letters are engraved in the thing, in enamel painted. And the enamel coating, I don't know if you can see it, looks like the old-timey blue enamel stuff that was made. They still make it, actually. Blue enamel cookware and pots and pans and stuff like that. If you can still find the originals, they're worth it. they're collector's items practically. But yeah, they still make this stuff, but not like the old stuff that was really nice. That's what I came up with. Baked enamel, blue with a white speckle in it. Very cool. Well, enough of that. Let's put the coffee over here. Get the vise out of the way. The handy dandy bench vise. We may use that in a second. Okay, the next thing we're going to do, and I may use the vise for this because it just makes it easier to demonstrate it, is put in the takedown pin, the bumper tube, the 3-point sling end plate, which, like I said, every gun I make will have one of these on. Very essential. I don't know why guns are made without them. I don't understand it. But that's the way things are. We have a message coming in. We'll have to pause for that and come back. Alright, back again. As I suspected, that was the wife message. Anyway, let's put on my little quick bench. My little special bench vise. I bet everybody out there wishes they knew where I got this. Good luck. Anyway, you slip her in like that. Grip her like that. And there you go. You've got your gun mounted in a cool little vise that'll let you do anything you want on it. And the cool thing about it is it's completely wobulatable. You can put it in any angle you want to work on stuff. Or like, you know, for instance, right there, I can put it right there. You can see, maybe like that. There you go. It goes out to like, really wide, down to close. I didn't measure the opening on it. I think it's like 8 inches. But yeah, it opens quite a ways. But anyway, so this is what I use it for. And electronic products, I do electronics too, so I use it for my electronics products to hold things while I'm soldering them, etc., etc. But that's what it was actually built for, was to do electronic work, holding boards that you're going to solder in place, and you can move them around. This was actually attached to a bench, physically screwed down to it, so you could really torque on things. I just have it sitting here floating free. I don't want to tie it down. Anyway, enough talking. Let's put the old hammer back on where it goes. Another sip of the old Java. We're in the HEB world over here, just in case anybody wants to know. That is HEB coffee. HEB's coffee is el primero uno number one. Ah, good God, that stuff is great. Houston blend, San Antonio, Hill Country, any of those blends I highly recommend. I would be careful with some of the stuff that's a little stronger, on the stronger side, because it is strong. Any of you Black Rifle coffee drinkers out there think you got badass strong shit? Well, you need to go to HEB and check out their stuff. So I'm going to tell you, that stuff will strip paint if you like strong coffee. But I can't take it. It tears my stomach up. Anyway, let's get back to the problem here at hand. So what we're going to do is, let me make this thing here like this so people can see what I got. You can see the little hole right here on my vise. There's a little hole right there. That little hole is the detent pin and spring hole for your takedown pin. In this case, it's stainless steel Armor Spec takedown pins. I think these are Armor Specs. I forget now. I've been out of the package so long. So anyway, what you'll do is you'll just go ahead and put your pin in like that. And the takedown pin has a special little slot in them. Both the takedown pin and the pivot pin. I have to show you this. I got to demonstrate things. They have a slot in them. You can see that. There's a little slot in it. That slot is where the detent pin rides. That's what keeps these pins in place so you do not lose them. If you had a takedown pin that wasn't secured in there when you were out in the field and you popped it open and dropped onto the ground, guess what? Now what you going to do? Especially if you're in a tactical situation. You being deep kimchi. So anyway, the pin, detent pin, runs in this hole. So you make sure the slot, because on this pin, it doesn't have a locked in position like the takedown pin. The takedown pin has a cut on one side. If you notice, I'll take it off and I'll show you. I mean the pivot pin, excuse me. The pivot pin has a cut in it. Right here. It's got a slice. Let me see if I can turn it. It's got a little cut in it. Right there. See that? Whoops. Turn it that way. There you go, Tommy. Silly boy. Yeah, it's got a little like a slice out of it, like if somebody took a grinder and ground off a straight edge on it. That straight edge is in line with the slot, and it lines up with this square edge here on the front, so that when you push it in, it lines up perfectly with this edge right here, and it doesn't rotate. The rear takedown pin doesn't have that. It's just got a round head on it, solid round. So you have to make sure that when you put it in, that it secures with that takedown, that detent pin in there. Just put it in there, make sure you get it right lined up with that, like so. And then you put your little tiny, does that get tiny enough for you? That's the detent pin for the takedown pin. Slide that in that little hole right here. Boop. Got your spring right here. If you push it down in there and rotate that pin, you can feel it lock in. That'll tell you you've got it in the right place. If you feel that pin drop in, then you can do this right here. You can feel it pop in and out. Just put gentle pressure on the spring. You don't have to put anything hard. And you can feel it pop in and out. Now it helps, again, put a little CLP down the hole. Put a little in the slot here. Doesn't hurt to lubricate these things. Get a little lubrication on them, especially the CLP. Now, see there, it's going to work a little smoother. Now, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to put together buffer tube. This is your buffer spring. This is a little bit extended buffer spring. It's a little bit longer than normal, which will, make it'll probably make it a little tougher on some of the substitute ammo, but it'll give it a positive slam back when she goes back and charges the battery. She's going to be positive, and these springs tend to get weak over time of using them. The longer spring will not. This is a really great spring. Titanium buffer. Okay? Titanium buffer, folks. Okay? How many of y'all got one of those? These guns I build or first class. We're going first class all the way. So the next thing we're going to do is to put on our end plate and our castle nuts. Forgot about our castle nut. I'm sure some of the more observant of you are going like, oh, where's your castle nut at for your end plate? And I'm like, oh, well, it's right here on the rack. Ta-da! Order plenty of these. Your buffer tubes do not come with these. Do not come with these. If you're ordering parts, make sure you get your castle nuts and you get the tactical. If you're building a carbine, see, that's the standard one right there. You don't want that one. Put that one away. What you want is a 3-point sling end plates on your carbines. You might have a bit of trouble sticking one on the stock thing, and they don't fit the same on the stock. But on the carbine, yes. You need the carbine, yeah. The foldable stock, yeah. You want the 3-point sling. But anyway, there that is. So what we're going to do first off, let's put our excess parts back. This is the old style, by the way, in case anybody runs across these. This is the original old style castle nut for the AR-15. It only has 3 slots on it. The new castle nuts have 4. I don't know if you can see that. This has 3, this one has 4. See the difference? Yeah. And son, you gotta have a special tool to work on these. You gotta have one of the old style, old school castle nut wrenches to work with this. It's called a spanner, just a regular spanner. It has one little hook on it, and that's what they used to have on the original AR-15. So I just keep it around just to, as a demonstration. People show, hey, look, only 3 slots on it, whereas the other castle nut has 4. So be wary of that. And like I said, buy plenty 3-point sling end plates. Don't buy just one. Get as many as you can. They'll let you have. Tip about gun parts today, especially the small ones. There's no such thing as having too many of them. It's kind of like having money. There's no such thing as having too much money. So gun parts today, same. So we're going to slide our castle nut on here. Get her all the way back so we have room to work. Put your 3-point sling end plate on with the indent going in toward the gun, like so. Like that. This is the bottom of your buffer tube where your stock is going to go. Your stock slides up and down on this. It has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 locking positions in this particular buffer tube. Okay? 6. Not 5, not 4, 6. Okay? So this makes it great for anybody with a short, person with a small sight line, like either a young guy, young girl, a woman. Let's face it, women don't have the same sight line, because I've let them shoot my ARs, and yes, they want to adjust the stock on them. Trust me. So anyway, what we're going to do is we just take this, put her on up here, and start just screwing it in to the end of the gun. Now you'll notice, I'll spin it around this way here. Get the other part here. We're going to be putting this in just a second. This is your buffer tube locking pin, and locks your buffer in place. So when you push your buffer in, this is what holds the buffer in place when you do the takedown, and keeps your buffer behind it. behind this pin so that you can do the takedown. If that bumper pin ever fails and that bumper goes into that gun, you can't take it down. You have to get a screwdriver in there and press that thing back, push it back somehow, you know, or get some way to push the bolt back. Figure out some way to do it. You can pull the handle back a little bit to get clear and pop it open, but it can be a real pain in the butt, especially if it locks up and then you can't pull your bolt, 'cause sometimes the bolt won't move. So yeah, make sure that this is positioned right and correctly installed, because you don't want that bumper jumping over that. Ooh, not good. Anyway, so I don't know if you can see it right here. Let me move this up this way a little bit. There we go. I think you can see that spring sticking out right here. Just barely see that spring. Let's zoom in on it. Camera up. Hold on here. Let me adjust this camera a little bit. I don't like this camera adjustment on this particular tripod. It's like it doesn't have any smooth transitions. Like the azimuth is smooth, but the elevation is real wonky, and it's just like not really smooth like it should be. I gotta look into that. But anyway, this particular spring, you can see the spring probably sticking out. If I zoom in some more. There. Zoom in some more. Wow. You can see that spring sticking out right here. Okay. Now what you're going to have to do is what I do is kind of work that thing up there, because it doesn't screw, the buffer tube doesn't screw all the way in. It goes a long ways in and out, but it only has one position where this will work right. And that's what you've got to get it to, that one position where you stop, and then you tighten up your castle nut and press that spring in and all that stuff. So what we're going to do is, while making sure that spring doesn't get knocked out of place, we're going to screw our tube in. Let me get some light on this here. Put this down where we can see it. Move this up. I think you can just barely see it right there. You can see the hole right here where this spring goes in, and this thing sits right there. Ta-da! So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn this up to the point just where it touches that. Screw it on in here. Just where it touches the point where it needs to be. It's getting there now. Now you see I've trapped it. So what I'm going to do is press this down with my finger and continue turning it. It comes around. Watching my spring in the back here. I have one more turn. And you can do this just hold down with your thumb. I think one more turn will do it. And you'll hear it snap in. Boop! There it is. There's the correct position right there. Now this buffer tube has a little extrusion on the end of it. A lot of buffer tubes, the earlier ones, didn't have these little extrusions on them, and it just had a slice in the end of the tube, and you kind of didn't know where you were. This acts more like an indexing to let you know where you are while you're turning the tube in, and it just, I like it works better, and it gives you a better grip, I think. So now that you've got that in, you've got that position marked. Undo our bench press here. We'll come around and you'll see that the spring, let me put this over here. Spring is all kind of cocked here sideways. So what I'll do is I'll just come in here with a little pair of needle nose pliers and grab that spring and kind of just push it on in there. Get it lined up straight with the hole, and then you can just take your end plate, push it on up, start tightening your castle nut. Just push it up there hand tight, little finger tight. Take your castle nut, but make sure you got it lined up good. Wobble it in there. There's your castle nut tightened up now. Now your detent pin is secure. Let's check it. Where's that? Oh, there she is. Oh, she's secure, all right. Woohoo! There we go. First put them in, they're a little stiff. There she is. Here, snap. There's your takedown pin right there. Pivot pin, takedown pin. Now, we've done all that. So what the next thing is just insert your buffer tube. Now that you have your retainer spring in there, just going to insert your buffer tube, and that's pretty straightforward. Anybody that has an AR-15 knows how this works. Make sure your hammer's down, cocked. Move her up here. Up so we can see. Yeah, there we go. Zoom back a little bit. Just a tad. Put her on in here. Wobulate it back on in there. Push it, push it, push it until you hear it snap past that little retainer. Ta-da! Buffer installed. There she is. Next step. Easy sleazy peasy. Guess what that is? Oh. Houge. See that? Whoops. Okay. I gotta learn how to manipulate things in front of the camera. Houge collapsible buttstock, AR-15 M16. Bad ass. Here we go. Trick to installing these two. You don't just put them on. Anyway, this part right here, this piece right here, as you can see, goes up and down. That's your locking pin. So what you'll do is you'll stick it on here, get the first one in position, pull it up there. You've got one more little place to go over to make that fit. Zoom out. To make this fit. And what you have to do is you can grab these pins like this, pull it all the way down, and shove it forward like so. And then you hear it lock in the first position, and there she is. Simple, easy pleasy, but you can struggle with it, you know, if you don't realize what you're doing. Push it up. There she is, completely collapsed. First position. Pop it up. Second position. Third position. Fourth. Fifth. Sixth. Sixth position collapsible buttstock. And there you have it. That is a complete, ready to shoot AR-15 lower that you put any upper on now. They'll chamber the standard AR-15 magazine. This is called a multi-gun, so it means you can put any of the AR-15 calibers with this lower. It doesn't matter what it is. The other beauty of the AR-15, you can be shooting 5.56 in the morning and switch over to 500 Beowulf in the afternoon. You hear me? That's right, 500 Beowulf. Yes, there's a 500 Beowulf cartridge for this gun. Check it out. Several manufacturers make the barrels. Yeah, they don't even call them Beowulf. It's called 12.5 millimeter by something or another, but it's a special, 50 caliber cartridge for the chamber in the AR-15 standard magazine, not the 30 caliber AR-10. You want to go the AR-10 stuff? That's a different horse with a different color, a different lower, slightly lower, because the bolt's bigger and a lot of other things. It's a beefier lower and everything about it, the AR-10. But the AR-15 M16, there's like 7 different cartridges now made for this gun. I mean, 223 Wild, the 300 Blackout. 300 Blackout is extremely popular in the pistol caliber for some reason. Don't get that, but there it is. There's your magazine release. Let's check it again. There she is. There she is with the magazine in her, 20 round magazine. Hit the button, bingo, out she pops. So there. Now, I know somebody's probably looking there going, what in the hell about those shiny looking pins on there? Well, I'm going to get around to show you how to deal with that right now. Let's put her back in the vise. The handy dandy vise. Clamp her down. Now, she will get a little heavier on the vise now that you've got this big old butt stock sticking out of it. But what I do to cover up those pins, go ahead and push them out. We'll put the top on here in a minute. We'll have the completed gun here in just a second. We're going to do this first. Come on. Wow, they're stiff. They're really stiff when they're new. Trust me. Woo. Okay, make a fool out of me here. Wow, why is it so stiff? Wow, that is really stiff. There. Woo. Yeah, these are really stiff when they're new. See, the front one's worked itself in, but the rear one's not. Still stiff as a little damn board. But anyway, pull the pins out. Permanent marker. We're going to get rid of those black heads on those pins right now. This works like a champ. The heads are machined slightly. They have, you can actually feel the ridges from the machining as you put this on here. And it fills in those little tiny microscopic ridges solid black. Enough black, I'll tell you what, they don't shine no more. They got a little bit of a shine to them when the ink dries, but I just put a lot of it on there, just liberally blacken them. Really lay it on. It's permanent marker. If it rubs off, which I doubt, you can just put more of it on. Do the front one here. The front one has a little thicker head on it. The pivot pin has a little bit thicker head on it. As far as the height of the head itself, I guess. So it requires a little more juice. You just really lay on the permanent marker on them. Because you don't need shiny silver pins sticking out on a black gun, do we? Nah. I didn't understand that part of it at all. If they were like black anodized stainless steel, that'd be really cool, but I don't know why they didn't think of that, but I don't know anybody wants little shiny sticking pins out there. I mean, I got some bright colors on here, but they're all flat muted colors until you hit them with a black light. Those are fluorescent colors, by the way. But flat in the daylight. At night you couldn't see squat. Everybody says, oh, look at that red thing. Somebody's going to see that and going to identify you. Oh, yeah, right. Sure they are. Anybody who's been out anywhere looking at anything that you have to might shoot at, unless it's glowing in the dark, you ain't going to see it. Anyway, so there I've marked up my takedown pivot pin. We've got that ready. Let's check our trigger one more time. Ho ho ho. Don't have a, I wish I gotta buy me a pull meter so I can check the trigger pulls. But I'm gonna tell you what, friends and neighbors, that's 700. That's Remington 700. Okay? Like I said, anybody shot a Remington 700, you know what that means. One of the greatest trigger pulls in the planet. Shocked the hell out of me because I said, oh, this is goddamn pistol trigger pull, for crying out loud, like a competition 1911 or something. Goddamn. Or my 38 special that has NRA 1 pound trigger pull on it. You hear me? 1 pound trigger pull. I tell people when they shoot my pistol, and I'll tell them when they shoot this rifle, when you think about pulling that trigger, you've already dropped the hammer. That's how light she is. Think about pulling that trigger, you better that's what you wanted to do, because you just dropped the hammer. With the slightest pressure, boom, away she goes. But she's safe lockup. Total lockup. Pulling the trigger, no drift, no creep on the trigger at all, period. I adjusted that out. If you want to know how to do that, I am not going to demonstrate that, because that is something that only a certified gunsmith should be doing, in my opinion. And the liability issues, I'm not going to get into that. But if you want to have your trigger adjusted properly, take it to a licensed gunsmith and have them do it. There are some YouTube videos out there that probably show you how to do it, but when you're dealing with trigger adjustments, I would be very careful, because now you're dealing with a deadly weapon. You're not piddling around with a toy. You're dealing with a deadly weapon, and I want to remind everybody, this is a deadly weapon. This is not a toy. Everybody looks at weapons today like it's some kind of toy. Now, some of you observers have said, well, when are you going to tighten down that castle nut, Tommy? Well, we're going to do that right now, because the other people that make cool stuff for your AR-15 is a company called Wheeler Engineering. They also make the drift pins that I make. The pins I showed you, the driver pins, the hollow ones, they're made by Wheeler Engineering also. Here they are. Look them up on the internet. But there's your castle nut wrench right there. On the other end is your barrel nut wrench that you're going to do to tighten down barrels. If you have the old style barrel thing. Now the new ones, the new barrels that you're going to put on, they just have a regular big old bolt on them, and you have to buy a crow's foot extender for those to put on your torque wrench to torque them down and to get them tight. And that's a procedure you have to learn.
Motion at your Ring Video doorbell.
Okay. Next project on the part of the project is tightening up the old castle nut. And pull your stock back a little bit there. Another thing is really tight. What you do is put it on here like so. And this is not one of those things that requires He-Man tightness. Not at all, even. So what I do is I put it on there what I call Tommy tight, which means just tighten up for the application, which is about right there. In other words, you can't undo that with your hand. You couldn't undo it with anything but one of these tools, which is very important to have. One of these, if you're an AR-15 person, you really want to work on them, you got to have some tools like this. Sorry. That's all there is to it. But anyway, there is the castle nut tightened. Everything's ready. She's now ready for the upper. So we're going to zoom back now. And I think I showed the upper earlier. Get our bench set up here. Get our copy out of the way. So anyway, there is your finished lower. The upper has been pre-assembled. I bought pre-assembled from Delta Team Tactical. This is one of their complete assembled uppers. Comes with everything but the Bolt-Carrier-Group and the charging handle. But it comes as a complete barrel. Everything completely assembled, pre-assembled. My advice to anybody that wants to do this, be ready to wait. Took me 2.5 months to get this. You hear me? 2.5 months. Prepaid, 2.5 months to get this. My advice if you want to build an AR-15 is order all the individual parts yourself. You'll get them a lot quicker. If you order a kit, you're going to be waiting. If you want to get this thing in a hurry, within a reasonable shipping time, which is like, now I think it's a week now from them. But if you order all the parts individually for this, for instance, if I ordered all the parts, the upper, which I have done, I have actually built one from scratch. There, I think there's a video on it. I will put it up. But I built one of these from scratch. I bought just the, in fact, the new gun. The new rare breed that's coming, the Trump MAGA gun, which is the rare breed upper and lower, that will be assembled here on the video. That is a complete assembly job because the barrel is being Cerakoted, the upper is being Cerakoted, and that's on its way. But look for the Trump MAGA gun coming. Got a forward thing on it. So here we go. We'll test and see if it works. Put her on in there. Get it in there straight, Tommy. Oop, there you go. Put her in there like that. Should all just fit on in there. Now, I'm going to get it going in here the first time. It's kind of tricky. Whoops, what am I knocking over? Whoop, just a flashlight, no big deal. Looks like it's lined up there. Let me get the old rubber persuader out here, hold on. Sometimes you have to take a little rubber hammer to them to get them started the first time. There we go. What we got here? Let's turn around this way. See what's going on here. Why won't she go on? She went on there earlier. Get the handle here on the bench so I can get a good position. There we go. She just slide right on in there. There we go. Should just pop in with your fingers. There she is. Whole complete gun. There she is, ready to go. Pop her out of the bench. Boop. Check our tightness up here. Now we may want to tighten up. There's a little trick you can do to tighten up these uppers and lowers. And you're going to say, oh Tommy, there's some silver pins on the other side. Well, guess what? This is how you deal with those. Woohoo! like that. Like that. Check our gun here. Let's see if everything works. Bolt catch works. Everything works on that end. Check the magazine release. Magazine release works. Bolt catch release works. Stick our magazine in. It's tight. Press the button. Out comes the magazine. Put her on fire. Check her again. Test the trigger. Ooh. Now, one of the things I am going to do is I'm going to put my CLP on all my parts here. And we'll demonstrate that in just a second here. And this is the cool part of these guns. Still, I say, this is the coolest part of the AR-15, is that you can just pop them open and work on them. Bolt-Carrier-Group, Holy Ambidextrous Charging Handle. Ta-da. This has the, I don't know if you can see down in there, maybe we can. Yeah, let me show y'all this special, these M4 barrels. There we go. Zoom down on that. These M4 barrels, it's kind of hard to see. Let me see if I can get that over there. Get the camera over here. There we go. See if you see that M4 feed ramp on there. Yeah, there we go. There we go. That has a polished M4 feed ramp on it. But you can see that. Let me zoom in. This is highly polished. Whatever you can see over there. That sucker will feed. This is an M4 profile barrel. A lot of gun people are making money doing this. This barrel comes that way already. Just a note. So what we're going to do here is we're now going to lube up our bolt circuit, I call it. Take a little CLP, put some more down here in the bolt itself. CLP, the parts that it rides on, these are your friction points right here. All these points right here are your friction points. Right here and under here. This is where the bolt rides. On these points right here. Nowhere else. This is where she rides, right there. Inside the gun. Just put a little CLP down here. That'll help me. Sealing rings down here. You got rings down here that seal. Gas rings. Doesn't hurt to put the little CLP on down in there on those. That's what these little holes right here are for. Put a little CLP in there. Everybody goes, oh, this is going to be spitting out when you shoot it. Well, it will for the first few rounds, but it'll be well lubricated. Very well lubricated. Anyway, so let's lubricate our side rod. Again, this place only has just a few places where this thing actually rides. That's these points right here. That's the point she rides on. That's your friction points right there. Put a little bit here on these, on your little joints here. Sticker on up in there. Come on. There we go. Take your bolt. Put it on. Get her all lined up. Make sure you got your bolt thing lined up there. Click her in like that. There we go. Pins tight first time, boy. Tight, tight, tight. But you want them tight. You want this stuff tight. You don't want wobbly dobbly. There she is. Ready to go. Complete AR-15, ready to go to the range and try out, put some sights on her. As far as sights go, I'm not going to really put any sights on any of my guns because people all want their own sights now, especially optics. But this gun will be for sale on one of the gun sites. I haven't figured out yet where I'm going to stick it, but it will be on there. I will make a complete video explaining what the guns do. It'll have a video that goes with it. All my guns will have a video for them. As I said before, I have 3 guns right now. The Buccaneer, the Nutcracker, and the PSA stealth gun. I'm going to call it the stealth gun or CQB gun. I haven't decided yet, but as you can see, it's a sweet little ride. Very sweet gun. Somebody will really enjoy owning this. Anyway, so much for that. Hope you look at the rest of my videos. I will come on camera, but not right now. But anyway, this is what they look like. As I said, the next gun coming is the Trump MAGA gun, which will be a premium gun, which will have a premium price tag on it. Trust me, I will probably auction that gun out for quite a bit. Anyway, thanks for watching. Subscribe, like, comment. I don't care what your comments are. I'm sure there's a lot of people out there telling me how to do this. That's okay. I don't care. I do it my way. It works. I've built 3 guns so far. This is my 4th one. So yeah, don't. If anybody's got any complaints, put them in there. Got any helpful suggestions about how to do things easier? Please let me know, because I'm always willing to learn something new. So anyway, thank you again. Thanks for watching, and I hope you have a great day shooting.
Like, comment, subscribe, and hit the notification bell, or Antifa and BLM will come to visit you. Promise.